to growth. Success of an entrepreneur.
We've raised the bar.
Learn firsthand from successful business owners and create your own path to success.
I'm going to show you how great I am.
It's time to hit the road to growth with team lead of the Enriquez Group, Realtor Vinny.
Hi, you Roach Growth listeners. Today I have Kim. She is the co-founder of Curious Juniper. Also a hairstylist. If you're watching us live, you can kind of tell by the do. She got to going today.
Thank you.
So Curious Juniper, simple salts. I bartended a long time ago, and I don't even know if we had like a brand associated with like the simple syrup. I think it was just something like, all right, here you can just make your own or things like that. So that's kind of unique. I mean, are you guys one of the newer companies out there? What's the situation with?
Yeah, so it's a simple syrup company, and we are what we. So first, I just want to say your intro was really fun. That was like I was like, oh yeah. So that's it. That's exactly it. So many of the bars and restaurants, they do their own syrups, or they use something that might be a little bit on the more inexpensive side. So we're coming in and we're really filling a gap. It's been a really awesome experience to gain the trust of bartenders because, as you know, they're the face of these bars and restaurants.
Was it something that they were kind of asking for, or you just saw it was a problem to the business, or kind of what came about there?
So you want to hear our origin story? It's really fun.
Yeah, sure. Let's go for it.
We were drinking.
Okay, fair enough.
We didn't know. Our business was born out of the pandemic. My salon was closed. My business partner bartends at the airport, and we were both closed. And we were literally having a cocktail one night within our group, and I was like, Britt, we could sell something like this. We'll do farmers markets. And she's like, yeah. And the next thing you know, we had an tasting with a very prominent restaurateur here in San Diego. And he literally launched us into bars and restaurants, just understanding that there was a need for what we were going to do. And we ended up filling that need. And now we're in over 40 accounts across San Diego, some in LA and Riverside.
So was it the plan? I mean, that like we want to start a business, which I think everyone talks about, especially after a couple of drinks. Oh, we're going to start a business. Or was it like this thing right here is something like really good? I taste the difference and we got to tell other people about it.
So I think I have the same disorder most entrepreneurs have. And that is like, let's do all the things and start all the businesses. For me, her and I really moved really well in the kitchen working together. So we, had made churros, just like all sorts of little things, empanadas. And I was like, Britt, like we should start a food truck. She's like, no. So then when we were doing the syrup thing, it literally just came out of me just like running my mouth about like wanting to like do something else. And also security of not being closed again, because we were never going to be able, nobody was ever going to tell us we couldn't do this one thing.
Gotcha.
So there was some like, I don't want this ever taken away from me again. And what ended up happening is now we support restaurants who were hit the hardest during the pandemic. So, that's been fun.
Well, let's rewind a little bit. I mean, who were you when you were younger? Like, were you in like thinking about kind of business, thinking about basically hairstyle, thinking about like, who were you when you're kind of growing up?
Oh my gosh. I love this question. It's actually really deep for me because as I was growing up, I was the kid who didn't do well in school. I really struggled with, making, my parents happy as like a kid. They were happy and proud of me. Don't get me wrong, but I always was the one who pushed the boundaries. So I didn't ever know that I could do it until I went to beauty school and learned, okay, you're not an idiot. Sorry, but you're smart and you can take care of things and you can figure it out. I have a saying that everything is figure outable. Mm-hmm. I truly believe that if you just study and look into things, and we can really figure it out and make things happen.
Yeah, I think for sure. So what were your hopes? What were your plans? Like, growing up? I know you're trying to figure things out, kind of want to make things. I mean, but what was, did you have like a pathway? Did you have like a kind of a focus? Do you have an arrow going in a certain direction, or what was that with that goal?
There was no goals.
Okay.
I always wanted to do hair. I thought that was really glamorous. I thought doing hair was glamorous. I was never really a very glamorous person as far as like, I didn't really know how to dress that well, or, I always did my hair, but it was always kind of funny and funky and fun. And, but I see a lot of hairdressers, they're so glamorous and so stylish with their long hair and their nice clothes. And I always filled the gap of, well, you're just kind of edgy and fun. Like this is going to be cool to do. And I fell into hairdressing because I just always had leaned into that. I always cut everybody's hair. I was a dog groomer for 12 years, and I was always doing something with scissors, but I never had a path. Like I never really truly knew what I was going to do until I was older, until I figured, okay, what are you doing? You're smart enough. You can do this. And I did. And now I have this salon and I coach other hairdressers on best business practices, and I own Curious Juniper. And, I during pre-pandemic, I made over, $100,000 for the year. I was doing really well. And I was like, oh shit, this is what it means to be successful. I can do it. I don't have to have a degree or done well in school to make that happen.
Was it easier, or is it easier being a dog groomer or hairstylist?
That's so funny. Everybody asks that. Being a hairstylist, and because the dogs would run around on the table,
Yeah.
people generally sit still for the most part. For the most part.
They have more opinions about how you're doing on your work, right?
People who own dogs have lots of opinions about how their
Oh,
dogs.
gotcha.
It's very similar as far as, people's expression on what they want. It's all good. I actually have more chance to communicate with my clients than I did with the dogs.
With the hairstyle brand, and it sounds like, I mean, very internal, like kind of helping yourself, kind of doing the hairstylist. When you started opening your own brand, your own salon, I mean, what was that process of the hiring and kind of bringing on the right people? Was it simply just friends? Were you kind of like word of mouth? Were you putting applications out there? I mean, how are you finding the right people to kind of build your salon out?
That's awesome. So I worked for a really great salon starting. So I got some really good business advice, a really good business training even through that salon. And when I opened, I knew that I wanted to create something that was going to be focused more around the consultation and communication. So what I did was I literally built the brand, Cultivate the Art of Active Listening, and it focuses on communicating with the client and their needs versus desires. Desires come into play, but needs were a very prominent reason. The challenges they were having, how do they do their styling? What are some of those things? And I actually didn't hire. I tried to find booth renters. That didn't really work out for me and my personality in the beginning. So I ended up hiring my first assistant and trying to build the salon that way. And that took several years. And then the pandemic hit and I let my 2 employees go. And it's been now a journey of how do I find the time to build Curious Juniper and still service the people that I love, because I only work in the salon 3 days a week. So how do I still service them because they're family, but build Curious Juniper in a manner that is going to grow Curious Juniper into the business that I know it has the potential to be. So I'm at this like very weird crossroads. I don't have any employees currently. I'm the only person in my 4-chair salon. And I don't want to say I'm phasing out, but I'm phasing out. So Curious Juniper has a lot of potential, a ton of potential.
So let's say someone's listening, and I've had other hairstylists on the platform, and they had a kind of coaching model, kind of similar to kind of what you talked about before. If someone's listening and they're like, okay, I want to open my own space, what are I guess the positive and negatives of having allowing someone to rent a booth compared to having an employee underneath you? What's like kind of the positive and negatives of both?
So right now in California, it's very clear. They have very clear lines drawn in the sand. So you can have a booth rental salon where you can basically have people subletting from your space with very clear boundaries. Employment is a different beast. You have to pay them either piece rate, or if you're going to pay a commission, it has to be, double hourly plus commission. And so, or you can pay them hourly, right? So there's three like business payment structures with the California law. So they both present challenges. Booth renters, there's a million salons. Everybody's looking for booth renters. I run a group called Salon Professionals of San Diego, and I have some subgroups. One is an employment and jobs page. I approve over 30 posts a day just for people looking for renters. So I think it's hard to fill booths for renters, and California makes it challenging to hire employees where stylists are used to a commission model. It exists in California, but it's a slippery slope. So I think that if you want to hire employees, you need to have a training program. You need to have regular coaching for yourself. You need to be always investing in your people to grow them and to grow their skills. As a booth renter salon, you can pretty much just fill your spaces and go and do your thing, but it's not easy. It's not easy. There's too many people looking to buy salons and open salons, and there's not enough people to rent those spaces.
So, I mean, it sounds like, for the most part, people would want to be employee more so than basically a booth renter. It's easier for the actual hairstylist, or
people want to be in suites because they get to like design their suite and run their business the way that they want. They want to booth rent so that they can come and go and do as they please and create their own schedules and, do basically run their own business. And there's a need for the employment model because there's very few salons that invest in the upbringing of a new stylist. But it's harder to run based on the needs that need to be filled for that salon and the pay structure.
Is there any sort of like cross pollination with the hairstyle business and Juniper? Like meaning that like get business for the simple syrup company because you're talking to different, I guess, clients that are coming through to get their hair done. Does that happen at all, or is that not really? Is it fully separate businesses, two separate businesses?
It's definitely two separate businesses, but my clients support me and purchase product from me. We primarily focus selling to bars and restaurants. So we do some business to the consumer, but it's not as much as, supporting our bars and restaurants.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
The only reason I ask is I've definitely, being in the real estate field, I've read a lot of books and taken a lot of classes about sales. And one of the top industries that you want to basically connect with are hairstylists because they have access to so many people. And so you wonder about, like, because you have this business, a thriving business already, and you're building another business right there, you think there'd be something that you give that up and you lose something. But I guess in your situation, it really doesn't help kind of grow.
Well, no, I tell you what, if you're talking about, utilizing your network of people, then absolutely. I have clients that have literally been some of the reasons that we've taken like steps up in our business. I have a client who's named Sarah, who works at a hospitality company here in San Diego, and she's gotten us, into different places. She's hired us to get syrup for weddings, and she's given us a lot of business on recommendation on sales strategies. And so, there's a lot of networking that happens in the salon. So you are correct, sir.
So what is that transition? I know you said you're slowly kind of giving up the salon business, or that looks like the pathway that you're probably going to go in the future. What's that transition look like? Have you already laid that out, or how does that? I know you're in the midst of it, so it might be a little harder to discuss, but something there.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, these people are family, and so it's really hard to think about giving that part of connecting with them on a regular basis up. But I think it's a slow transition out. I'll need to give up my salon and probably, go to a part-time space. I'd like to build out something at my house. That would be fantastic. I've got the room for it. We all know building construction is very expensive right now. So I'm just like, how do I make that happen? Tenacity. That's how you make things happen. So I've thought about it a lot. I think going down to 2 days a week and then just servicing my regular clients and then eventually phasing out. Curious Juniper takes up every single day I work on that business. So a ton of time, takes up a ton of time.
What, I mean, building Curious Juniper, I mean, what has been kind of like the biggest hiccup, biggest hurdle you've had to work through to kind of build this brand?
Yeah, time allocation. That's probably been our biggest challenge. Just being able to give it everything that it needs to go, because we hired a sales consultant this year, and she's been instrumental in helping us build some more strategies and structure around what we're doing. She's just been an incredible asset to us. And I think that time is probably our biggest challenge because there's 2.5 of us, right? So now we have this consultant who helps guide us, but both of us are still working. So my business partner is not going to give up her career. And I have the room. I have the privilege to be able to, my husband, has got a great career. And so I have a little bit more wiggle room to come in and make that happen. But I think time allocation is probably our biggest hurdle. And we'll get over it, maybe.
And I know, I mean, I had someone on, what was it? I think they had 8 people in their partnership, and that was the biggest one I've ever seen. But I've seen partnerships happen, right? You have basically the marriage partnership and then the business partnership. What's that process look like when you're building a brand out? I mean, is it a conversation you're having with your partner and then your life partner and your business partner, or what does that kind of look like to make sure that everything's kind of going the same direction?
I'm a huge believer in clear and concise communication to the best of my ability. So the communication looks like having really hard conversations some days about, the trajectory of the business. The conversation looks like, okay, hold please. I'm in a meeting. I'll get with you in just a minute. So I think that the communication component is best. The partnerships, thank God there's the husband, and then there's the business partner, and then our sales, I would consider her, a partner, our sales coach. She's not physically invested into our company, but she's definitely a partner. I think it's a communication piece, just being able to clearly communicate even when things are terrible or hard.
If we were talking in 5 years, where do you see Curious Juniper going and yourself going?
Oh yeah, it's really fun in my brain. It's really cool. So I would be doing Curious Juniper full time in 5 years, and supporting more restaurants. And we want to open up a tasting room. We have some cool ideas floating around what that's going to look like. So I think getting into a facility where we can build out like a tasting area, maybe build out a non-alcoholic bar. The non-alcoholic space is really big right now, so it would be really awesome to support that. So I think that that 5-year plan could be anything we wanted to do. We want to be able to go nationwide, get with distributorships. There's just a ton. We are launching a new line called Done Simply, and it is a single flavored syrup, because currently we have a complex flavored line, which is like our tamarind chili lime, and it's got, tamarind and ancho chilies and lime juice and chili powder, and it's very like complex in flavor, hibiscus, lemon, and mint. So they're all very all the flavors make it very simple for a bartender to grab their spirit, the syrup, and a juice and make this vibrant cocktail. And so we found that there was a niche through conversation. We found that we needed to also fill this other component of adding a more simple line. So we have over 12 syrups in our repertoire right now. So
something that was kind of intriguing that I've never heard about. I mean, you said non-alcoholic communities or bars, or what are those?
So the non-alcoholic, so the sober space is really big right now. A lot of people are moving away from drinking. And so it would be really nice to be able to fill that gap through, opening up a supporting bar in a space where we manufacture our product. So it wouldn't be separate of, it would be, here's where we manufacture, but here's the front end of our business. Come experience Curious Juniper syrups and see how they can fit into, a non-alcoholic space. Because you can go to the bar anywhere. So
this would be a bar that doesn't serve alcohol, just non-alcoholic beverages?
Ideally, that would be
Are there places like that currently? Or
there are, but I don't think they exist here.
Oh, wow. And so they're like non-alcoholic beverages like beers and things like that have no alcohol in them, and they make like kids can go in there. I mean, is stuff like that?
I would think so.
Okay.
I would think that kids could go, because kids can go into breweries right now.
Yeah.
You can take your kids there. And so if it doesn't serve alcohol, I would imagine. We also have some other ideas, but those are some of the things that we've thrown around. So creating some front end sort of business where people can experience what Curious Juniper does, how it can support a non-alcoholic space. And there's some other things floating around.
So with being that your business is kind of building out almost a new segment of this kind of market a little bit, what is your like routine? I know you talked about time is kind of like the biggest hurdle you're working through. What does that look like on a weekly, daily basis? Like, what are you doing?
Like I said, I'm in the salon 3 days a week, and then I Tuesday, Wednesdays I'm there. So Thursday, Fridays, I'm making deliveries. We're in the kitchen, making syrups. We have our coaching meetings. We have our business meetings. I'm fulfilling orders, our website orders. Working on developing our processes and procedures, always cleaning those up. R&D work. I mean, you name it. Trying to get everything marketed. trying to grab pictures and videos. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. There's so many components of it. I love that you do this podcast, so you know what it takes to like get your stuff onto social media and advertise all of that. It's not, you just don't get to post it. You have to like ramp things up in order to post it and get the right copy and
be consistent with it too.
And that's the hardest part. That consistency.
Yeah, it's one of those things that if you're not doing it consistently, people might like it, you might get the viewership, and the next thing you know, it goes away because you're not posting as much, or it's small tweaks you can do. I mean, I've dealt with different marketing people, and they go, "Oh, you got to change the verbiage here." Like, it's so fun how people perceive stuff. I have a team member, and I can say this: I had a team member that had on their one of their profiles, whatever, for personal profile, that said, "I hope to help blah blah blah. I hope to help the team grow." Right, and someone reached out to me and they're just like, it doesn't seem like they're confident in what they're saying. They should be excited. And you're like, that small word right there changed the perception of their whole like bio basically. And I was like, it's just interesting how people perceive stuff all the time. So
the best people in your life are people who can share with you that you can change verbiage to show up a different way. Right. Yeah. So if somebody says, this is something that's, we're failing at. No, this is something that you're learning to grow into, right? So having that partner or trusted person in your life that's going to say, okay, you're not doing things, you're not failing, you're just learning, or you're taking this opportunity to have this experience because it's going to put you in this position. Like, you're not failing. So having that person tell you that about your coworker or friend, they should have told them that. Right? Hey, this is how this shows up for you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I mean, so for people listening right now, I just wanted to kind of finish off with one last question. If, let's say, they have a product that they think would be great for restaurants or bars, what have you found the most efficient way of getting in front of business owners, restaurateurs, things like that? What's the best way that you've seen to get in front of those people?
I think the best way is FaceTime and getting connected with the community.
Is there a platform that would be good to get in front of the community, or is it like knocking on the doors and just kind of being aggressive with it, or just, I mean, trying to find someone in your network that has a connection? I mean, what have you kind of seen? I mean, for someone here that maybe just brand new and they're just like, I have this idea for napkins. We do napkins so wrong, or whatever it might be. Is there, yeah.
I think knocking on doors and literally sitting down at the bars and connecting with the bartenders and connecting with the owners. Is there a platform? I mean, TikTok, Instagram, all those things, but you need to connect with the management, the owners, and those sort of things to be able to really get in. And I don't think that those people spend a whole lot of time, surfing Instagram and TikTok for the newest best thing. LinkedIn, is also a great platform for connecting with those higher up, higher tiered people. But I honestly think FaceTime is the best way, and utilizing your networking and your connections.
Well, thank you so much, Kim. If someone's listening right now and they're maybe looking for simple syrup, trying your brand, they have a restaurant, a bar, they're looking to get some simple syrup, maybe they're looking to buy a hair salon and they're thinking, oh, she's going to get out of the business in the next 5, 6, 7 years. Maybe I'll work something out with her. What's the best way of getting more information for you, Kim?
They can email me at kim@curiousjuniper.com. And they can also get in touch via social through our different social sites, Cultivate a Hair Love Design Salon, Curious Juniper, that sort of thing. The syrups are awesome. They're really good stuff. I hope that you all can try them. And I hope to speak to you all soon.
Thank you so much, Kim. Thank you for being on the Road Trip podcast.
Thank you.
Hopefully everyone got some great nuggets right there. Go in the show notes. Go find Kim. Please subscribe. Please share. And again, go in the show notes and go find Kim. Bye, everyone.